Okay. Thank you very much for being here. My name is Federico Severin. This is Andrea Francica. We are from Sandesa. We come from Turin in Italy, and we are a Claris Platinum partner, and we provide an SBA solution. So it means that we provide a solution for many customers, hundreds of customers. And our focus is on processes. So we need to help our customers manage their processes. And when you need to create a solution that can handle the processes of many, many customers, you need to deal with abstraction. So now it's all about abstraction. Andrea will now lead you through a path that goes through the analysis approach. So we will start from the specific case, then we go to the abstraction and back again. We will see how important is to question the true meaning of words when it comes to do an analysis. We will see that we need to consider all the dimensions of the subject that you are analyzing in order to find out what's its role. And from the role, you then can understand how to design the entity in FileMaker or in whatever you want. So we will introduce you to a specific case of operative documents and stock management, and the definition of an item, that are all things that are based on multiple levels of abstraction. So then this is a more philosophical approach, but then you will see how we managed to solve all of these things, and so how we made these abstractions concrete. Okay, now I leave the word to Andrea.
Hello, everybody. Okay. The photo before was our office's view, so I'm pretty proud of it. So, okay, let's go. The point of the analyzing a problem. You should, when you do an analysis of something that you have to manage, then we will use an example, but it's some kind of method of reasoning that can be applied to any case. You should go back and forth to, between abstraction and practical case. So because any of those alone are not sufficient, and so you need both of them, and you need to reiterate the going from abstraction to practical application or to the case, and then go back, and then go back, and then go back. And it takes a lot of effort, a lot of time before starting doing things, which is time saved afterwards, because you the risk of just missing the point of what you are developing, you reduce it. So case to abstraction, and then back. So first part is questioning the meaning of words. This part is something that often we just take as a given the meaning of a word. So we just assume that we know exactly what a word means, or even worse, that the customer knows the meaning of a word that is using to describe one of his cases. And in fact, we have to really question us if we really know it and we know how it is used by the customer in its context. So, because we normally use the meaning that we are, let's say, used to, so the meaning that we associate, which is not by default the same meaning that the customer uses. So, I will use an example. So, I need to manage my customer order. This is the question from one of our customers. Okay? The question that comes afterwards, normally from us as developers, is what are the details of your customer order management? So which part of the order, how it's made, and so on. And not what do you mean by customer order. We normally associate to customer order, this is a generalization, but just to make me understand, okay, is something, a document issued by the customer, which contain as lines the products or services that expect me to deliver. And for each of these lines, there's a delivery date. For each line, there's a price. And for each line closes when I fulfill the delivery. So when I deliver the good that is asking me. I think most of us can think that this is a good definition of customer order. But in fact, so we went from the case to abstraction. In fact, going back from the abstraction and trying to apply to all the cases that can happen, we discovered that sometimes it's not a document issued by the customer, but it's a document related to the customer, because a customer can just ask, call me by telephone. Since I have a long relationship with him, there's no document of order. It's just telling me, oh, I need this one. Then, containing as line the product or services is not always true, because it can ask me for a project that then I split into products and services that I will supply. So the line of the customer order is not a product or service by itself. It's just a general description of a project. For each line, there's a delivery date. That's not all the case for all the times, because sometimes we have forecast or just like general customer order where it tells you, I will order you 1,000 pieces in the next year, but you don't have a specific delivery date. For each line, there's a price. It's not true also, because sometimes you have orders where, for example, repairings, where it tells you, tell me afterwards how much it costs you to repair this thing. And each line closes when I fulfill the delivery is not true also, because I may have steps between the customer order and the delivery, which happens in between, and so my order closes when the next step is activated, which is not, by default, the delivery. So at the end, what we are left with from our initial definition is that the customer order is a document related to a customer and to incomes, which contains lines that indicates more or less what he expects for me. But this kind of definition applies to almost every kind of document or description operativity that I make with a customer. Okay. But at least we understood that there are elements that can be attributed, so that sometimes apply, sometimes no. And that depend on the context. So depend on the context of the customer, on the context of the process of the customer, which are the delivery date, the price, the closing methods, because it also can be on value or quantity, like provide me 2,000 euros of services, or provide me 2,000 pieces of one specific good, and the processes, and the process itself. That said, I will introduce a case. From this kind of back and forth from abstraction to case, we defined in our, let's say, our product, which we use as an example, the operative documents as or recordings that describe a part of sales or purchase or production or stock management workflows from a logistics and an economic point of view, which are consolidated, which means that we take out quotations. Quotations are not, we are not sure that we will do something on quotations. Quotation become consolidated when the becomes and that don't have fiscal or treasury effect. We divide it into these words just because quotation work on, let's say, the possibilities, and the fiscal part has other issues that should be managed differently. Those operative documents, so, revolve around the counterpart, which can be the company itself, the customer, or the supplier. The type of document, and the workflow, so customer order or delivery note, etc. And it relates to what I was saying before. Since we have limited our abstraction to a couple of points and the rest is attributes, we can apply the same logic to all of processes. The content of the documents, which we named items, and so let's go with the definition of item. Since the document itself is made by lines, and there are the lines that make the most sense for our operative operation, since we want to affect our stock management, we need something that defines the lines, so the items, which can be a product or a service, defined or generic. Sometimes it's a specific product, sometimes it's more generic, okay, depending on the level of, let's say, control you want to have on your stock. For example, normally you don't code all type of pens that you may buy for your office, but you code pen generic. Okay. Existing or fictitious, for example, existing is something that is really existing that you really treat, and fictitious can be bundles. Bundle doesn't exist by themselves. It's just a way to group different items, different products or services. We gave this definition. It's really hard to give names to those kind of things. These stock movements, what they are? We have stock movement that goes out of the stock, and stock movement that go in the stock. Then we have expectation of out movements and expectation of in movements. Okay. Those four elements give us all the, let's say, quantities and information that we need, because the difference between in and out is what I have in a stock. The difference between what I expecting to receive and what goes in is what I have to receive. The difference between the expected out and the out is the outgoing materials. And the difference between expected out and expected in is what I have to order, because I need them. More in a specific case, customer order is an expected out, because I am expecting that something will go out. Delivery note describes the real out. And so the difference between the two is what I have to deliver. The purchase order is the same, but on the in. So the purchase order is my expectation of an in, and the reception is what is really goes in. And so I have to what to receive. So the same for stock and to order. Okay. And this can be applied also in all levels, because for example, if it isn't purchase order but is order to production, goes the same way, and then replicates on the materials, because the production order just generate a need for production for raw materials that you have to purchase and then go in and so on. And the workflows can be like this. So directly from a customer order to delivery note, or just to make another example, I can have a customer that says, okay, I don't want to just straight go from a customer order to delivery note, but I want to tell my employees in the storehouse what they have to prepare. So I make a like kind of picking list. or then the operators in the storehouse. I want them to tell me what they have prepared, so a packing list, and after that, I do delivery note. And this can change in the time. So there's no company, even no matter what kind of, let's say, solution I'm doing, that will always work on the first way or will always work in the second way. Maybe they're starting from in the first way because they're starting managing things. Then they start saying, okay, I can manage more steps in my workflow. And so I add other steps. Or some other customer ask for also other intermediate, let's say, documents where they do checks, controls, whatever. You cannot really know which workflow will be the one of the customer. And even when he explains it, don't take it as a given. I mean, it will be valid maybe for 1 year, for 2 years, but you're not sure that after this time frame, it can change. Okay? So I give back word to my colleague, which will show how we put this.
Okay, so let's start with the items. Before looking at items, I need to go through a categorization of items. Because as you have seen before, items are quite generic and they might be of different kinds. So how you do that? We divide them in families and subfamilies. It's a sort of categorization when you, where in the family, you define how you want to encode the item and what type of item it is. If it's an object or a contract, an action, something. These are flags, these are options that you can activate to define the item. The item will inherit them. You also can define role restrictions because you can say, basing on roles, who can create, delete the items, who can change settings. All these roles are defined in the system in a table, so you can apply them dynamically to the item, the families, and then, because of that, to the items. Then we see we have subfamilies where we say something more specific about the items. So we may say a characteristic, what we may do with the item, if it's something we purchase, if it's something we stock. You can see the type of item that has been inherited by the family. You see that also here you have the encoding part because you can create exceptions. So a family may have an encoding, but this is one of its subfamilies may need to be encoded differently. And you have details when you have supplementary data. This is quite interesting because if you know, if you think about an item as a product, for example, that a company needs to save into the system, if you use a custom solution, you create specific fields for each information they want to store. But if you are selling the same solution to many customers that maybe work in different fields, you cannot foresee all the kinds of fields that you have. So we have created a table where you can create the attributes of the item, of this kind of item. And so these attributes are basically options that describe the item. So this is a kind of abstraction that can go even deeper if you think that with these supplementary data, you can also create sort of calculated fields, because you can define supplementary row where that is a calculation that is then calculated by the value of other supplementary data. So this is the way we can mimic fields and calculation fields that you don't know which they will be. The user will define these, not you. So you see how abstraction is basically transferring things from the structure to the content of your solution. Here you have also a description that can be calculated with the supplementary data. So how you define the description of the items, you can, maybe the customer is asking you, I want to describe this item by the material and other attributes. Then you can say, okay, you can define this here. Just type it in. If you want to add some kind of description, some kind of attribute, and so you might add also this one. And this is an example of how it should look like. This is just the names of the labels, but in the item you will be able to give some values to all these labels. We will see it in a moment. And then here the description of the item will be built with those values. So let's look at an item. So this is how an item looks like. You have the code generated by the encoding system. You have a description that, as I said, might be defined by the labels. And this is not the case, but it might be. And you have the family, the subfamily. And here there are the supplementary data that has been inherited by the subfamily, and you can even add some more if you need to be more specific about this kind of specific item, okay? So the user really has a lot of freedom in defining an item. And all of this can be done because you have done a very deep work of abstraction and analysis before. So yes, another very nice thing is this. An item is a generic concept, but you may need at a certain point to make it more concrete and use it, give it a sort of more specific definition, more specific role. And so it might be a product that you need to produce in your company. And so you can create a record in a specific table where you manage the products that you need to build. Or you might create a tool, an instrument. It might be an installation if it's not a concrete object or a resource. So These are all the kinds of items you can have. All of these things are strictly related. So you have families, subfamilies, items. Sorry for the Italian, I didn't translate it, but um, but an item can be also an article, and so you will have an article type to define it and its properties. And so you may apply the same kind of abstraction levels basically to all the things that an item could be. So it can be an instrument, and then you will have a family of instruments where you define the properties, and so on. So now, operative docs. Again, also for operative docs, we have a place where we define the characteristic, the attributes of the operative docs. So we define a name, we define in-out or income or outcome. We check, we select a type for sorry again for the Italian. We didn't translate the start, but you select here what's the role of the operative doc. Then you select, you decide what you can do with the items. You select what's the status of the doc, which things you will need. So you need it send it, you need it an external code, you need it to store the physical documents. These all are options, okay, that you can activate or unactivate.
One point, these four on the item are the same four boxes. The flags represent the same four boxes: expected out, expected in out, order, and need that we saw before. And that's how afterwards the system will calculate all the stock quantities just by following the attribute that I gave to the I wanted to represent which one of those four boxes.
Okay, so these are translated in these, okay? Then even here we have an encoding system for the document. We have roles when we can define who can work with this kind of document, who and if something is needed. So we can grant access, we can request a signature, and we can even specify specific conditions like seen before, compiling this field that is a sort of calculation that will be evaluated. And we have the definition of data source and destinations. This is what brings you to create the flux. Okay, so you define here you have the source of the data. For example, we'll pick the customer order. You see that you can inherit data for the customer order forecast, because you might have a situation where the customer tells you, in the future I will order you some pieces, not now, but you must know that might be order split in more parts, so you prepare this document. Then when he orders you he makes you the order, you can inherit the rows from the forecast order. And then here you see also the destinations that might inherit the rows of the customer order. So you might go directly to delivery note, as you have seen here, or you might go to a picking list before, okay? Then you can even play with things like connection to automated warehouses. Maybe the translation here is not so accurate, but it should be automated warehouses. So if you have these machines where you store things and you are need to pick up something or to put something in, you can define in the system the attributes of this machine, so IP address, user password. Then you can define which type of operations you can do. Then you can go into this kind of document. You say this kind of document can automate interaction with that warehouse. And then you say what kind of, you choose what kind of operation you can do. And then in the operative document, you will be able to trigger the action with the automatic warehouse.
All those configurations sometimes is option on options on options. So the idea is that it's not only like straight off flags or predetermined conditions. Some of the behavior of the system can go on several levels. So you have you define how it behaves based on other option that you define in another place that are based on another option, that etc. etc. This kind of work can help you really cover more potential, let's say, workflows and characteristics of different customers, because at the end, it happens to us a lot of times. Our customers invent ways to use the system that we didn't forecast when we were developing, because we made only the structure where they can put inside their options and their ways to manage. From the technical data into the items is a good example. We don't know which kind of technical data you need for each kind of product that you may manage. It's impossible, and they don't know either. So, but in this way, they're able to build on it, and also they feel it more theirs, because they contributed in kind of developing the system, which is not developing, but at least setting it. And also, in this case, from source and destinations is the way that I was telling you before. You don't know how they will make the workflow. So in this way, they are able to make new workflows and also change in the time. We have customers that were at some kind of business, and then they decided to open a new, let's say, business lines that needed different ways of working. And in this case, they could just configure. Then they asked for help for sure, but at least they were potentially autonomous on resetting all the behavior of the system. And this is more about the possibility that this opens up, because since you don't have too much personalization in one module, you can then build on it other functions that comes afterwards. Like, for example, those one of the automatic warehouses was easy to build for us because we didn't have to take care of when they wanted to tackle into the automatic warehouse. It's not our problem. I mean, it's up to them to define when they want to call the automatic warehouse. We just know that we have to prepare something that can call eventually an automatic warehouse. When will we be? Up to the customer.
Okay, let's see an example of operative document. So as you see here, you have the encoding and you have the type, and you have. Do you remember the slide? This one. We have a counterpart that is here. Okay, so our customer in this case. We have a type of document that's here, and workflow that has been defined in the types, as we have already seen, and is you can see again it here also, because if you had the data source, you would see it here. In this case, you have destination here, so the flow is in this part. Then you have a content of the document, that's basically the lines. And then you can go also through more deep details with lines. You have multiple informations here that can be shown. You can go through the detail of the lines, and all these things are basically the same for the lines. But what about the flux, the workflow? As I said, here we have seen that you can go from a customer order to the delivery note. And so here we have an example where this customer order has has a delivery note, and you see this is the delivery note. It's said also here by the type of the document. You have still the lines, and you see that the data source is written here, so you can jump from one to the other. But basically, it's always table here is doc operativi, okay, and the layout name is scheda doc operativo. We go to the source. It's the same layout. Okay, it's the same table. It's the same table, same layout. It's so you don't need to create a table and layouts for delivery notes, a table and layout for customer order, a table and layout for whichever document you want to manage. You just do it once. Docs here, no, here, there it is. So the tables we need to do all of this are doc operative, that's operative docs, the rows of operative docs, types, operative doc types, and the origins for the workflow. These are all the tables you need, and you can handle all the operative docs of almost any company. Just to show you something more, we had also this kind of workflow with the picking list, the packing list. So you have the customer order, so you need to tell to the guy that works in the warehouse, you need to prepare some things to be delivered. Then he prepares them, and then you can deliver. So here we have the customer order, and the destination this time is not the delivery note, but is the picking list. So the picking list you see has as a source the customer order, as a destination has the packing list, because the items have been prepared. And here you see that from the packing list that destination has a destination, that's the delivery note. And here you see the delivery note. So you have all the flow. You can follow it very easily And you can see also the status, because as you see here, the picking list has been closed. And you say this, yes, I forgot to show you. You say this, types. So if we get the packing list, packing list, eccola, packing list. Okay. So we said that the packing list can have as a source the picking list, and there is this screen that I wanted you to see when you say whether the destination document has any impact on the data source document. So you tell it you can close the source document, for example, if the quantities match or if the amount, the values match. And when you import data from one document to the other, you can tell also which kind of information must be moved from the source to the destination for the head of the document and for the row of the document, the rows of the document, okay? So you choose what you want to transfer. And this is fun fact, you can also set up a destination as a source the same kind of operative document. So, for example, a customer order can have as a source a customer order. The point of doing this is that you can easily duplicate orders. You see, we have the status that here is closed because we, as we said, we did the packing list. That's it? Okay.
For whatever question you have, yep. You can partial delivery. Yeah, it's the same line because each line of each document is okay. We defined that each document can have a source. So, but it makes it that it works line by line. So each source line can have, in fact, several destination lines from the same type of document, which by themselves, by depending on what you want to unload. So, for example, picking back the case that it was explaining before, packing list. Okay, but it's for any kind of document is the same. I'm just saying that it the closest quantity, but it means that if I have 10 in my source line and I create a destination line with 2, it will stay open for 8 and so on. But in fact, you can do a little bit more because you can have also tolerances. So, because for example, when a supplier delivers you, in some cases doesn't deliver you exactly the quantity that you order. Because for example, in metals, the order for 100 kilos, but then it can arrive 99 or 102. And it's okay because the number of objects is the same. So you can also put, let's say, tolerances so that it automatically closes anyway. So you can have for each line any amount of lines that closes it. Yeah, but yep. No, but also no, but because in the delivery note it takes from the type of customer order, but it can take for several orders. That's the point, because the level in which it controls is type with type. So in the order, clearly you must have the same customer also, the same counterpart, because if not, it doesn't make sense. But in fact, you can, like for example, if I take a picking list, which is this one, okay. I don't know, we have all example with Italian contents, that's it. But we can say, we can take a look at all the orders that may be put it in, into a picking list. Because we know that picking list picks from the, this type of document, so we can show all lines of all documents that, let's say, cover the fact that they are the same currency and they have the same, let's say, counterpart.
Then you, when you decide to insert them, you can define the quantity. Okay, so you say they are not 12, they are 6. Then you will have 6 more to add. Next time you do this process, you will. You already see here that. Okay, no, it's 12. Okay, next time you will have 6 more remaining. Okay.
And in fact, all movements that it does in the same one, because this thing works for when you're sorry, I restart. When you're speaking of stock, you're speaking both of physical stock, so what you have, but also on forecasts. And so that's why I showed the 4 blocks, because one it's expecting, so it has another dimension, which is the date where you're expecting the things. But if you move your customer order, your supply orders with the dates and with this kind of expectations, it can project the your stock in different weeks. And that gives you the ability to, for example, create a kind of supply control panel where you can see for each item when you need something, because it can make a forecast of the of your stock. And but the real point is that everything is based on really few tables with all attributes that can vary by the kind of customer. Because also making another example, I'm a manufacturer, so I can sell the finished good. So for example, this table entire, or sometimes they ask me for just the legs of the table, because they want to repair a table that they had before. But the legs of the table are also the things that I need to make the full table. So I may have that my, let's say, purchases are a mix between the request coming from the customer and the request coming from my production, because he needs it. But since it's the same flag for us, we don't care from where it comes, the need. It's just a need. For the end user, it continues working with these buttons that is always used to. So for sales, it goes on customer orders. For purchase, it goes in purchase orders, and so on. But behind the scenes, it's always the same list, and it's always the same page, and everything is the same. Everything is managed by the configuration and the configuration of configuration and so on. This was really long to fix down, because it took several, also iteration of. We rewrote it, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, because every time you go to abstraction, you go back to the case, you understand that you didn't cover some cases, and you say, okay, but I will just add the new function, or I just reanalyze my structure to make sure that my abstraction is fitting to the cases that I want to manage. We choose the second way. We can do it because it's SBA is much more difficult, I know, in custom projects, because you need much more budget from the customer. But it gives you a lot of possibilities. For example, one of the functions that Federico showed was the signature for documents, which is a complicated thing. So, for example, when somebody in the company is not allowed to make purchase order over one limit. Okay, and this can vary. Can vary the people, can vary the company from company, can vary depending. We, in fact, the point that we did is exactly what he was showing before. So, purchase orders. Okay, since you have roles in your company, you map down the roles, which are the same that we use for limiting the views on the items. Since we have those roles, we can apply like a lower limit, so the one that can give the first validation. And if the order is over one limit that I can write down, so I request a digital signature by somebody else. In fact, this method we could apply also for invoicing, not only for sending the document, but also for invoicing, for confirming the closing, confirming the values, confirming the dates, and so on and so on and so on. So each option, that if it's well, let's say, designed from an abstraction point of view, then it can combine. And you can combine one with the other and make it your life really easier. Because, for example, we didn't do yet, but if we want to hide part of the operative document card, depending on the role, for us would be like really, really easy. Because we have already all the structure that is ready to do it. And it's the same structure that manages the buttons. So what I see on the menu is depending on the role. What I see on my left side, which is my processes that I'm involved to, depend on my role. And my role can be defined by the customer, by himself, by saying, okay, the purchase responsible is this guy today. Tomorrow is someone else. Everything in the system stays the same on settings, just changes on the user.
And about what Andrea said before about showing parts of the document, just wanna show you another thing quickly. So, don't know if you noticed it before, but if I move between these two documents, this part here changes, but it's the same layout. It just changes based on the settings that we have done before. Okay.
Other questions? I know. Okay. Now we know that we try to make a full explanation. We had to use our, let's say, specific case where we applied it, but in fact is the first point that questioning the words is what led us to this kind of abstraction. Because if we were taking the customer order as we were, let's say, used to conceive it, we would never have arrived to the. Also for the items, if we just understood, okay, we will make a table for products and a table for services because are different, and you will never get there. Also for the most simple one is for the companies that you have relations to. Customers, suppliers, agents, transports, whatever. If for us is one table of companies that get different rules depending on the time, on the moment.
So the same logic applies there too.
So the point is making this switch, and before doing things, asking yourself some questions, and then asking also the customer. Because to get the cases that prove your abstraction, you need also the experience of your customer. Because we are always discovering new things from our customer, because it's clear we don't know exactly all working processes that you may have in a business and so on. So you need, let's say, your customer to kind of test your analysis they're not able. You have to guide them, but try to make examples on your analysis to see if it fits for them, and then go back and so on. Sometimes you have just to write your module.
Have any other questions? Feel free.
Okay. So thank you.